Welcome everyone. Welcome to another King Reflections episode. We are episode 19. How exciting. And I was going to talk about the highly sensitive person trait, but I'll probably bring that out into probably episode 21 or 22. But sometimes I get these instant thoughts and they're going, I really need to share this now before it leaves my, excitement levels or the passion of it or the enthusiasm of it sort of drifts away. So I thought I'd get this one out first because I feel a strong urge to release this one. And this one's called That's Just Not Me. And I don't know about you, but I struggle sometimes with people telling me or people saying, well, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. And, especially with my clothing line, people were like, well, you should be doing what the customers want. You should be doing what the people want. They want this, they want a certain style, they want a certain this, they want a certain that. And, that's all fine and dandy, so to speak. But sometimes I'm there going, but that's not me. Or that's not what I feel the brand needs to be, or is in the direction of what it's going towards, if that makes sense. And this whole concept that I like, this that's just not me concept. I was listening to Brene Brown's book today called The Gifts of Imperfection. In one of her chapters, she explains how she was going to give a talk, but someone told her, no, people don't want that. People want light and fluffy. They don't want anything too serious. They want the how-to, not the what causes or what gets in the way sort of concept. So I encourage you to read this book because it's actually pretty good. But this is how, and then she came to the conclusion that she's like, but that's just not me though. I'm not a how-to person. I'm a person that shines light of what gets in the way. So then everyone can do the how-to a lot more easy, or actually access the how-to a lot more efficiently. But we have to figure out what gets in the way. And it's usually ourselves, the things that hold us back, our opinions of ourselves, or, even just what people think of us. And I then got the instant, relation of it for me. And people always saying like, or not all the time, like people don't always say this, but I have had a few times people bringing up, you're not doing what people want, or, I don't like it that way. So you need to do it my way so that, I will buy it, especially with my products. And I'm there going, but it's not about you. The brand is about the brand. And I'm putting the brand in the direction that I feel that it needs to go, or that it's taking me, because I'm allowing the brand to lead me. I'm not the one that gives in decides where the brand is going. I'm allowing the artwork or the brand, the way it wants to be expressed, I'm allowing it to tell me where it wants to go, if that makes sense, or the direction that it wants to express itself. And even with these podcast episodes, I'm there going, what do people want to listen to? What will they listen to? And, they probably want to listen to even just this whole concept of, 5 tips of how to become confident, or, 3 tips that you can do to, improve the way you feel about yourself, or, different perspectives, or, just how to kind of concept. And I'm there going, that's not even me. I just want to shed light of the thoughts that go through my head and my growth process. And that's what I feel is me. And, sometimes it can be quite confronting, some of these topics that I talk about. But I feel that's what the brand is trying to tell me to express. The king pathway or the king direction is not a pretty one, especially in the self-growth section. We have to really confront the way that we think, really confront the way that we perceive things in order for us to grow, and actually really challenge our belief system or our thought process and go, why am I believing the way I believe? Why am I thinking this the way I'm perceiving this, or the way I'm thinking it? Why does my thought process go in this direction? It needs to stop, because, all our behaviors and habits all start from just our thoughts, our continuous thoughts that we tell ourselves. And I feel that these thought-provoking concepts, I feel, is what I need to express, or what this brand is trying to express. And that's me. It's just not me to give these light and fluffy talks and make you feel exceptionally good. I'm more of a person, or more of a, taking responsibility of your life. And sometimes that's not pretty. Sometimes it's not pretty to actually really put yourself in the limelight or in the spotlight and actually be like, all right, what have I been doing wrong, and what can I improve in myself? I'm not shaming myself to the point that, that I'm a bad person. No, I'm putting myself in the limelight and spotlight going, what can I improve? And it's just like when, a sculptor is chiseling out rock. It's, chipping away at that rock. And that rock is probably like, that doesn't feel good. You're stabbing something into me to break something off, and for me to eventually look good. And that's sometimes we have to do with our lives. We have to chip away and really chip away the faults or the flaws to really bring out the true beauty that's within us. And that stone that's around us is really hard and it's painful, and we're clinging onto it. We're consistently clinging onto it because it's, feels safe, or it is comfortable, and we don't want to get out of our comfort zones. We don't want to be in the limelight. We don't want to be in the spotlight. We don't want to be put on a, shown all our flaws to the public. We want to be vulnerable. But sometimes we have to go through that. Sometimes we have to go through the process of putting ourselves under a spotlight and really shining the flaws and the insecurities and the vulnerabilities to really improve and strengthen us. And I've had some people say oh, I don't really agree with you on certain topics, or, I don't think that's the right way to really think or feel because it's, too sensitive, or it's too touchy, or, there's other people's feelings you got to really cater for, other people's mental states you got to cater for. You got to really be sensitive and not bring up certain subjects or certain topics, or not think certain way. But then I'm going, well, I'm not going to compromise my way of living life and feeling life and expressing life and experiencing life just to make someone feel good or make someone not feel uncomfortable. There's plenty of times that I make people feel highly uncomfortable, and sometimes I do it on purpose, especially if I feel that they're enforcing or forcing their expectations on other people of how other people should behave around them. And they want people to behave in a certain way just to please them. And I'm going, I'm not going to compromise myself, or I'm not going to be fake, or I'm not going to put on a show, or I'm not going to put on a mask just to please someone. If I'm bringing out something uncomfortable within themselves, then that's something that they have to do with them in themselves. That's a process that they haven't, a growth process that they haven't gone through in themselves. Because I personally I'm trying my best, not allowing other people to affect me emotionally of how they live their lives or how they say things or perceive things. Sure, I take a step back and go, whoa, do you really think that? Or do you really believe that? Especially during these times with the division, with COVID-19 and the lockdowns and the mandates of vaccines. But then I go, you know what? They're perceiving it from a perception that they've lived or they've experienced. And I'm not a person to judge that because I haven't experienced that. But I don't need to feel negativity or bad energy towards them. I don't need to resent them. I don't even need to feel angry towards them, especially if they're trying to be malicious or try and be judgmental. That's their life. That's their struggle that they're dealing with. And I don't need to add on top of that to them. So I try my best not to become emotionally triggered or emotionally reactive to that. And sometimes that's what people expect of us, in the sense that they don't want to be emotionally reactive. So they tell us, can you please behave this way? Or can you please do things this way? Because it really affects me negatively. But yet they want you to change. They want you to change your opinions, and they want you to change your perspective, and they want you to change yourself and everything about you to fit you in their little square or their little box. And they're doing it in a way because they're not comfortable with someone having a differing opinion, or they're not comfortable with someone being different, and they're not comfortable that this person has the boldness or the confidence to be themselves. And then being themselves might not be exceptionally, great or perfect or lovable, so to speak. But really, if you're really that affected you just pull yourself away from that energy and don't give it attention. Don't give them attention. You don't need to be around them, and you don't need to be affected emotionally by them. So now I try my best to be to myself, mostly to myself, authentic to myself, unapologetic to myself. If I feel something's not right, or I feel like I'm being put in a certain situation where I'm expected to behave a certain way that is compromising my beliefs or my standards or my expectations, then I just take a step back and go, actually, no. I'm going to do what I feel is best for me and what's worked for me so far. And yes, I will take on board what they've said and reflect on it and go, what is really affecting me, or what's really their agenda. And I take into all consideration all aspects and all perspectives. And I always come back to eventually how it's benefiting me or how it's benefiting everyone. If I have to remove myself from the situation, I'll be like, sure, no worries. I'll just walk away and not make a big deal out of it. But when it's to the point where it's affecting my performance of my job or my work or even just how I live, then I will hold that person accountable. I'll try my best to hold that person accountable and say, you're trying to make me feel bad for the way I think or feel because it's not right according to you. But right now, what you're doing is not making me feel any better. You're shaming me, you're guilt tripping me, you're making it out like I'm a bad person for having a certain opinion or a certain perspective on things. And I don't feel that's right. So I don't have to completely agree with what you say, and I don't have to obey what you say or what you want me to do or your expectations of me to do. But I'm not going to sit here and feel bad or ashamed for having these opinions when it actually has nothing to do with you. And what you're pushing on me has nothing to do with me. It's all about you. And just hold them accountable to the method that they're using. They don't want to be shamed. They don't want to be felt guilty or whatever. So they try and push that mentality onto me and try and push that perspective onto me and shame me for having a certain perspective or a certain opinion. And I'm going, well, you're using the exact same method and it's not helping any of us right now. And then usually, I try my best just to leave it at that and walk away and not give it any more attention because I don't need my attention drawn there. And I don't need to dwell on it because it, again, isn't my exact problem. But it always comes back to, I just say, that's just not me. You and I, everybody wants to express themselves freely without judgment, without condemnation. And I don't know the correct term or the correct wording or the correct phrase for this. But on the other hand, they don't want to be condemned or judged, but yet they're just waiting for the opportunity to pass judgment and pass condemnation for you to obey what they want you to do, or they want you to behave in a way that they want you to. And I find it very hard to sit with that. So I'm there going, well, I'm sorry, that's just not me. I'm going to express the way that I feel is best for me to express myself, or the way for me to, or the way this brand is expressing itself through me. And if you don't feel it's the right way that it's been expressed, happily for you to go create your own brand or create your own clothing line or create your own podcast or create your own Instagram and go for it. I mean, we all have a voice. We all have the opportunity and the freedom to express ourselves the way we want to express ourselves. And if you're passionate about something, I'll happily back you up. Happily back you up for your passion in what you feel is right and for self-growth. I don't have to agree with everything that you put out there or that what you want to put out there. But I am definitely passionate that you are putting yourself out there. You're making yourself vulnerable. You're being courageous by putting yourself out there and putting your voice out there and putting out your opinions and your passion. And that's what really excites me. And it excites me because you're on that self-growth path. Once you're putting yourself out there in the limelight or the spotlight, straight away you're put on a growth path set, a self-development path. Because there's going to be things that come across you like I'm saying right now, people coming to me and saying that's not what the brand is. And you have to really dig deep and go, well, what is the brand? Or what is the purpose of this brand that I've created? What is it going to push me to become? And what is it pushing me to be right now? Does it want me to bend over backwards and be agreeable for everyone, what everyone's putting out there and telling it to be? Or is it going to be bold and strong in what it stands for? And I feel like this is what the brand is really about, is being strong and bold for what it stands for. Yes, it's still growing. Yes, it's still changing. And that's the beauty of life, is that it's changing consistently and it's growing consistently. And we just have to have the compassion and the understanding that right now it might not be perfect. It might not be the way that we expect it to be, or the way to behave, the way that we expect it to behave. It's not up to our standards right now. But that's okay, because it's growing and it's changing and it's developing, and that's all that really matters, and that's what really excites me. So I don't really anymore feel guilty or feel shame that it's not progressing fast enough for people to their expectations. Most people probably think, it's 3 years that this brand has been out there and you still haven't earned a solid profit or even a profit at all. And I always have to remind them, it's not about the money. I'm not in it for the financial security or the financial abundance that will come with this, or what the expectation of financial abundance is supposed to come with, I guess, your own business or your own clothing line. I'm in it because it's my passion. It's something that I've always wanted to do, in a way to express myself, in the way I feel that the terminology king needs to be redefined or, brought back to its origin meaning. And that's what it is at the moment right now, is me just pushing through this growth, and doing the best I can. And if there's not many people following on Instagram or Facebook, or if there's not many people buying the product, I don't mind. I'm not excessively worried of what's going to happen in the brand, just as long as that I'm sticking to it. And it's a long-term relationship. It's slow to build and it's slow to grow. And I'm building the foundations slow and steady, so I feel like that I'm doing the right thing, that I'm going to do it right. And not later on build this massive tower, but it all comes crumbling down because my foundations weren't set properly. They weren't built correctly. Anyway, so that's just my perspective on it. And as I'll continually say, when people have high expectations of me, that's just not me. Anyway, I hope you get something from this. I hope you have been having a wonderful day. I hope you are going to have a wonderful day if you're listening to this in the morning. And I hope that you take the courageous step to be bold and to step up and say to people in a compassionate way. You don't want to come across malicious or hurtful, and just say to them, that's just not me, okay? So I'll try my best not to offend anyone, but I'm not going to compromise myself just to make people feel happy and to make people feel comfortable, especially when I feel it's not right. So have a wonderful day and king up.